Governor Walker gave his State of the State speech tonight, and I thought that he did a terrific job outlining three main things. He said we're really getting things done for the people of Wisconsin, and that's his whole priority, to get things done. And people, when they're looking at Washington, they're going, why can't Washington get things done? Well, Wisconsin is getting things done for the people of Wisconsin. He had a very strong message. And secondly, he said, I think people have forgotten how different it was in 08 when we came in 10. What happened to our state? Our state had 9% unemployment. Now we have 3%. Our state was increasing taxes. We are decreasing taxes. We are holding the line on tuition. We are growing the economy and jobs. I mean, it is so different now than it was 8 years ago. And people have really forgotten, so I think we need to remind them that the state is much better off than it was 8 years ago. I think if you look at the governor, he's not going to sit back on his laurels. He has a very ambitious agenda for the next 4 years when he's reelected, I hope. He's saying, okay, let's look at growing the economy. Let's look at our investment in education, which is the biggest investment in education in the history of our state. He's saying, you know what, we could do more. For those rural districts, we could look at sparsity aid, and for $6-8 million, we can make an investment that'll make a big difference to those schools. And he's saying, you know, we need to look at our workforce. We have so many jobs, 8,000 to 100,000 jobs that are going unfilled right now. He said we have to build up our workforce and make that investment, which is critical. But he also said, let's look at welfare reform. And I'm so glad he said that, because people are on the sidelines. Our unemployment's really low and our employment is really high, but there are still people who are on the sidelines. And we want to give the dignity and share the dignity of work. So we're going to make getting a job better. And we're going to say, you know, if you're getting benefits from the state, we're going to increase the expectation from 20 hours of work a week to 30. And I think that's a good idea, because people need to make enough money to benefit from work. And I think that's what we're looking at, is incentives for work. And that's a very positive thing. So we're going to be looking at how can we have incentives for work. And like the Thompson administration, where we're national leaders, get people onto work, not welfare. That to me rings a great priority for the people of our state. And if you look at a lot of the other initiatives, healthcare probably is a priority, and healthcare costs are a priority. And it's not necessarily the group insurance for people who are employed, because that insurance has gone up 6% plus. And that is more reasonable. But for those who are on the individual insurance plan, their plans have gone up 36% plus. That's not sustainable. What we need to do is stabilize our healthcare market, and that's what the governor is putting out. And one thing we did really well as a state was to take care of pre-existing conditions. We had a great program called HERPS, and the state was a partner in meeting those healthcare costs that were affordable, that were high quality, and that the constituents could make co-payments that were reasonable for them. And so that's what the governor is suggesting, that we team with the federal government, and they would have like maybe $200 million of an investment for us in that field, and we would invest $50 million, but it wouldn't be straight up GPR, it would be savings that we could make from these healthcare investments. I think that's really important for our families, because when I talk to many of my constituents, they'll go, I can't afford these individual healthcare costs. And a lot of insurance companies are leaving Wisconsin, so I applaud him for saying, let's take care of pre-existing conditions as a partner, and let's invest good policy so that we could bring down the costs on the individual markets. So those were the main priorities, along with one that he just put on the table today, to have a $100 deduction for each child. So if you're a family of 3, you would get $300. And this would come out of the surplus that we have. And I'm very proud to say, with our reforms we've made, with the reform dividends we've had, that we've had a surplus for the last several budgets, and our budget is in good shape. And we just got an estimate from our fiscal bureau that said, again, we're estimated to have a growing surplus. So the governor said, you know, in the past we've given that surplus back. to our constituents, our taxpayers who gave us that money. So let's talk about giving that money back for a $100 credit for each child that a family has. I think that's an idea we need to look at, because some people go, oh, don't give us back the $100, it won't matter. I think that's pretty condescending, because for a lot of middle-class families, especially for families with 3 kids, $300 would be a big deal, especially if it happens in September right before school. So I think we should seriously look at that. So the governor wants us to look at these initiatives and get them done before we leave at the end of March. And I think we should make every effort to do that. I think we should put our handprint on these initiatives, but I think we need to look at getting them done, because I think it's going to be good for our constituents, and it's going to be good for our economy, and it's going to be good for our families. So it was a great speech, I thought, a lot of energy, and I think he's right. I think a lot of us have forgotten how much we've accomplished over the last 8 years. So I'm going to be trying to remind my constituents of all the good things we've accomplished, like our pensions are funded, we have a surplus, not a deficit, our budgets are balanced, we're giving the largest investment in education in history, our college tuition has been frozen, so it's much more affordable. And if you look at our property taxes as well are within the 2010 median priced home margin. So I think most people would say, I'm really glad my property taxes have been held down and that we're not growing them as we were 8 years ago. Because if we had had the increases that we had the last 8 years, you'd have paid over $600 more in your property taxes. And I think most people are saying, hold the line, and we have. And I think that's been a great accomplishment. So I think it shows that reforms count, that priorities count, and that focusing on what our constituents really need in terms of holding the line on taxes, holding the line on spending, really do matter to most of our Wisconsinites. So, let's remind everybody of what we've accomplished. And on Wisconsin, God bless you and God bless America. Take care.